Welcome back. With the festive season just around the corner, alcohol industry players fear the government may impose another liquor sale ban on COVID-19 as COVID-19 infections driven by the Omicron variant rise. According to the presidency, President Cyril Ramaphosa will address the nation after meeting with the Command Council this week. Now, earlier this week, the 26th annual NEDLAC Summit endorsed calls for government to make COVID-19 vaccinations mandatory by barring unvaccinated individuals from access to certain public activities and locations. Now let's get the South African Brewery stance on the possible alcohol ban and mandatory vaccines. Joining me is Kgosi Mogotsi from the SAB. He's a Regional Corporate Affairs Director. Kgosi, thank you so much for your time. So let's just start off then, of course, with the rising numbers. This, of course, is a concern for SAB and the possible lockdown restrictions that we may face.
Yes, good afternoon to you and good afternoon to the viewers at home. Definitely it's a concern. You would remember that, around this time last year, we were quite nervous as well. We were not sure as to what will the government decide in as far as lockdowns are concerned. But we also believe that, we can't be doing things the way that we've been doing things previously. An outright ban would be devastating to the economy. There's about 233 jobs at risk. And we believe that, government needs to have more interactions with business to see how do they respond to the pandemic.
Now, you have mentioned the possibility or the problems that this, of course, would cause for the sector, for the SAB and just really for the liquor sector. What more do you think government can do to ensure that they keep the jobs and the economy keeps running, but also that they ensure that people actually do continue to follow the COVID-19 protocols?
Yes. So we actually believe in vaccination. We believe that vaccination is the one way that we could actually respond to the pandemic. Minister Joe Pahla did say in his briefing that about 7 out of 10 people that are hospitalized are unvaccinated. So we actually believe that vaccination is the way. And we do understand, that there are certain difficulties also that the government faces. And we believe that it's better to have restrictions, such as looking at curfews and so forth, versus having an outright ban which would shut down the liquor industry, and it cannot afford to be shut down at this state.
Of course, now with the festive season, this is a problem. If it does happen that there's another liquor ban for the industry. Just tell us the consequences of this should the president decide that there will be some kind of a liquor ban, whether it is a full shutdown of the industry or just a partial one.
Yeah, look, it's very difficult for us to say from a forward outlooking perspective. But if we look at the cumulative effects of the previous bans, we're looking at a loss of about 60 billion to GDP. That's quite a lot that's at stake. We're looking at also about 10.2 billion that the government would have made from excise tax. So there's quite a huge amount of loss that's at stake. The fact that the industry is in recovery mode is also another multiplier that we are afraid of. The tourism industry is trying its best at this point in time to actually recover to be where it is. And this is the time at which activity should not be disrupted. So we definitely think there will be a very huge devastating effect if an outright ban had to be imposed on the liquor industry.
Indeed, but we also need to remember that one of the reasons why this ban was initially in place was because they were just making preparations, of course, as we heard from government, the bed space really, and to ensure that the nurses and the doctors and our healthcare workers are able to actually do their job without having to also deal with people that could be intoxicated coming into the hospital. As the SAB, what more are you trying to do to ensure that even as people decide that they are going to take in some alcohol, that they remain safe even with this COVID-19 pandemic?
Yeah, so we've constantly been advocating for responsible consumption of alcohol. That's one thing that we've been doing. We've got a program that basically looks at responsible trading, helping liquor traders to trade responsibly, making sure that all COVID-19 protocols are are followed, and so forth. And I mean, we've already audited about 50,000 liquor traders within South Africa. Other things that we're doing is the vaccination campaigns. We've opened out our brewery sites for the public to be vaccinated. And we've also been using the strength of our marketing and brand presence to basically spread the message around vaccination, around responsible consumption. And I mean, there's quite a number of things that we're also doing with government, such as support of the Vuma campaign and so forth. So, I mean, we have been working with government in responding to the pandemic, and we'll continue to do so.
And Kgosi, just a final question then. The work that you've been doing with the government, have you had any form of communication when it comes to the suggestions that you have when it comes regarding lockdown regulations?
So, in as far as our engagements with government, it's been mainly in response to the pandemic. So working on supplies of medical equipment, working on vaccination. We have made a couple of submissions as well to government stating some of our concerns around outright bans and so forth. But we do believe that, I mean, if we continue to have certain engagements with government, we'll definitely be able to respond appropriately to this current wave.
Kgosi Mogotsi, thank you so much for your time. The SAB Regional Corporate Affairs Director, really just giving us details about how this, if there is another alcohol ban, how this, the impact that it will have, not just on jobs, but really on the economy as a whole.